Aloha. Today, I wanted to speak on a number of perspectives and topics, but really kind of boil it down to the frequencies of experience, the frequencies of consciousness, and how that affects our reality as a whole, and really just kind of give some examples of the way this plane of existence is designed. It fits inside an energetic field. Everything within this reality fits within a 0.005% of all energy. So the essence of who and what we are is the soul. There's the soul and then there's the body. The body will die, but your soul will never die. So this entire experience is based upon locking people into the idea that the idea, the vibrations, and the fear that you will die, like something will die. Because once people have an ending in their reality, then you can convince them to think and act and do things that are outside of the perspective of that which is never ending, the soul essence. So this is why the idea of human nature is so backwards, and they just tell you things are the way they are because such and such and such and such. Those perspectives will never be understood from the reality itself. So just as much as somebody can anchor themselves in, or the experience, the plane of existence itself. So just as much as somebody can anchor themselves in the pride of politics, the pride of being a Democrat against being a silly Republican, and just as much as somebody can pride themselves in the New Age world, they're all creating a box within a box. And those boxes within boxes can be, you can put a price tag on them and you can sell it to somebody else. So ultimately, the human experience, the physical reality experience, is something that has been price tagged, sold to the soul. Sold to the soul. We've been sold an experience that is not resonating from the vibration of which the soul truly is. And it's based upon the vibration that your soul is. If you can be sold some bullshit and you buy it, then you'll buy it. And then that will be your experience. Until you have enough experience to not be sold a lemon, to not be sold some bullshit. Until you realize that and shift your vibration, you will still be subjected to the experiences of lack, the experience of death, the experience of the lower vibrations. One of which is the physical reality itself, not everything that, we see within, like the politics, the mainstream, the everything, the heliocentric model, all of this stuff. These are just microcosms of the macrocosm that is the experience itself. So when we are taught English, when we are taught Spanish, and me being half Mexican, people tell me all the time, or when you get like so-called traditional Mexicans, they look at you a certain way and like, you don't speak Spanish? What's wrong with you? And my response to those people are, English is no more, like Spanish is no more your language than English is my language. Like the who that I am. You speak Spanish because of the Spanish conquistadors. And that's why you have that language. That's not a Mexican language, just like the so-called Americans speaking English. What was this place before we were speaking English? So that's what I'm talking about. That's where I'm coming from in regards to vibrations and where your roots come from, where they start, and how that actually sets a shock wave of perspective into this artificial reality. The synthetic universe, or the materialistic plane of existence, is trying to make people fall in love. It's utilizing the essence of you, the highest vibration of your experience. Your perspective reality keeps the illusion alive. So your experience of love for something that is largely an illusion keeps it alive. So if the consciousness as a whole has been locked into an illusion for so many generations, individually and collectively, it will literally keep a system, a world alive. No different than people falling for the heliocentric model. Because it's not based upon the physical reality. The physical reality is a side effect to what comes before that, which is the mind, the intellect, and then before that is the soul. So like I said, if you can be sold, if your soul can be sold a level of consciousness, experience, and illusion that you will buy and continue to buy, you will never be able to break out of that box, out of that world, until you yourself have not only just experienced enough of the experience, but have done something with that experience. So energy and experience being the same thing. You can download all of the energy and experience in your lifetime that you want, but if you just put it in the closet and you don't do anything with it, then what's the use? What's it for? So this entire experience as a whole is based upon continually selling people the materialistic plane, making you fall in love with the illusion to keep it afloat, and in fact taking it so far that just as actors and movies and TV shows, they're not real. When you're sold that reality, like how people believe in the NASA program because they've been Trekkies since Star Trek first came out and Star Wars came out. This is largely an illusion that you fall in love. Literally, people are experiencing their highest vibrations, they're channeling their highest consciousness, their highest everything into an illusion. That illusion first exists on the soul having the lowest common denominator of falling for that trap and then creating that reality. And then it manifests in the physical reality. This is what I'm seeing the synthetic universe is trying to do, to manipulate a deeper layer of the synthetic universe. And this is what I'm seeing. This goes back to previous videos where I was talking about channelers. And like 6 months ago, there's a video I did talking about soul trapping and how the heliocentric model traps souls. This experience in itself is a trap when you realize that it's designed to eat itself on an individual and a collective scale. This is why it's so destructive. And then when it tells you, oh, well, this is just human nature, this is just the way things are, that makes you believe it. That's the activation point. So the experience itself is what you believe in. It becomes activated when they tell you, they create your belief systems and say, this is how it is, and then that's it. This is anchored from the perspective of the evolution theory, the animalistic behavior. If you believe you are a monkey, if you think that you are only limited to the animalistic consciousness and the experience from that perspective as a whole, then you will channel that energy into your conscious experience. On the so-called, from within the plane, the physical, materialistic plane of existence, they have to sell you more and more toys, more tools to make you buy into the illusion. The New Age program is designed to sell. This is why the New Age is so hooked on toys, crystals, tarot cards, channelers. This is all part of something that is locked within something, a box within a box. And people who are in that space are just filled with joy and compassion and love and light in a damn illusion. What people do with that consciousness is up to them. Like I said before, you can be the oldest person in the whole world. But if you have been living from a childish perspective your entire life, that doesn't make you wise. Being old doesn't make you wise. Wisdom comes from wisdom comes from what you do with that experience. Not just the experience itself. It's a deeper definition. It's a deeper part of that perspective. It's like the difference between the soul and the physical reality. The physical reality itself is just, the experience. But when you go into, what you're doing with that reality, then you're breaking out of these boxes and you're reconnecting with your soul. This is what the materialistic plane is designed to keep you from doing. Because if you are kept from doing that, then you can become monetized. And when you can become monetized through illusions, then those people who have convinced you of those illusions can now make themselves out to be gods and kings. This is why the heliocentric system, this is why the illusion has to go so deep into the very world itself. And then when people are sold the flat earth in the mainstream, this perspective that I'm sharing right now, it still will be diverted, because we'll still be trapped within a box, because you'll have slave owners deciphering or interpreting this information for you, never going into the soul perspective. If they go into the soul perspective, then that's when the power itself will be lost from the so-called powers that be, because individuals will start to activate their power from the inside out, and that can't be monetized. It can't be controlled. So the lies and the illusions have to be so grandiose that we literally channel our highest vibrations into believing that reality and believing it, bringing it into being. So this is why these scientists and the New Age community are so heavily locked into this extraterrestrial, ancient aliens perspective, because it makes the physical reality more, it's the artificial infinity. It makes the physical reality, it makes the finite infinite, when in fact this is, I know I'm all over the place with this, but you see where I'm coming from. So yeah, these scientists, scientism itself, the New Age community, the New World Order, the heliocentric model, the politicians, all of this is to trap you. The mainstream media is to trap your perspective, your consciousness, your level of growth in a particular vibration that allows the system that created those illusions to manipulate your time and your consciousness by manipulating the relationship and the perspectives itself, the perspectives between time and consciousness. This is why you have so much programming of the marriage and reproductive program in society, in the mainstream society, because you are God when you have a baby to that child. To that child, that child's very well-being is based upon you providing for that child. So you become God. And who provides for you? The capitalistic system and whatever, America number one, Western civilization, wherever you want to create that. On one level, it makes them God. On another level, it makes you believe this system into being. And on another space, it makes you disconnect from what's beyond the experience itself and love and cherish and expand only what's within this physical reality, which inherently separates you from the soul perspective. This is what the synthetic universe is based upon. This is why the New Age program has to demonize the indigenous, and the religious program have to demonize the indigenous and the aboriginal people, because they knew they were calibrated from the soul understanding this experience, whereas the materialistic plane is calibrated from the physical materialistic reality, trying to evolve itself or make the best of this reality. It's a completely different universe, a completely different vibration. It is, like I explained before, the difference from sitting in a space of the finite, imagining an illusion of the infinite, the infinite, and sitting in the space as the space of the infinite, realizing the experience of the finite for what it is. There's a difference there. This is the polar shift that happens in the frequencies of human consciousness, where we go up and down, up and down, up and down in time and civilizations. And we're coming out of that. We're coming out of that downward frequency. The reason why we get trapped in the experience is because the downward frequency creates an artificial high frequency that allows people to think that they are expanding their consciousness, but are really just setting themselves up for another trap. This is no different than an individual in a relationship after relationship after relationship, dating all kinds of women, doing all kinds of stuff, and then getting married. Saying, oh, I'm done with this. I'm done with, dating around, and now I just want to settle down and get married. But the individual himself doesn't change. It just creates another illusion within an illusion. On one level, you can say that individual has changed because they're not doing what they were doing, which was completely destructive. But now you haven't done anything with that energy. You've just allowed it to become channeled or hidden away, channeled into another style or hidden away in a closet somewhere. So in one way you can say, yes, that person has raised their energy or their vibration, but it has nothing to do with the expansion of that individual's consciousness, because the individual himself hasn't shifted. That energy has just been moved somewhere else. The same thing happens with the society or the consciousness or the people themselves, the souls themselves. We lock ourselves into the idea. This is what the essence of the evolution program and the heliocentric model, the university system, the capitalistic program. Oh, we've done all this. We've created all this. Don't you benefit from this? And the beat goes on. We continue to just keep playing that story. Since we believe in that story, we make this world and this universe more alive, because it's not based upon the physical reality first. It's based upon the soul essence first, through the mind to the body. So if you are mind controlled, then your body will be controlled. And if you are mind controlled, then your soul will have, your perspective of your soul will be completely skewed and shifted. And you will now implant this illusion of you as the physical reality, you as the death experience, you as the lower vibrations of fear. That can be manipulated, that can be controlled. That is the animalistic behavior, the animalistic vibration that is really going on with the de-evolution of the human experience. So you can be controlled, and it's not for the physical reality. This is the chess game on your soul. As I mentioned in previous videos, there's a 3-tiered chess game. It's going for your soul, your mind, and your body. And it goes in that order. And when we subject ourselves to the illusions of illusionists and magicians who mean to make themselves out to be gods and kings, then that's what we're allowing to be. We're making a universe, not with our hands, but with our soul being limited, the hands of our souls being limited by the illusion. Like grasping into thin air. There's nothing to grab onto because it was an illusion to begin with. So, no different than like this image says. These doctors, these are so-called doctors that are feeding you these vaccines, these children, these vaccines. It's literally the opposite of what a doctor is supposed to be doing. When you plant yourself from the perspective of the physical reality and you don't balance out the perspective of, you don't understand the soul, you're breaking alchemy. You're breaking the system itself for a purpose, for a meaning. It's not a mistake. Like this image says, this is not just something that happened. This is on purpose, that these doctors don't release this information and don't say anything about it. They got to make their money. This is all the capitalistic program. This is all what's being worshipped by people. And it's based upon separation from your soul to make the illusion of a soul within the physical as the physical plane. So the end all be all of your reality becomes the physical reality. When we are locked into that frequency, when we're locked into that limited vibration, then we are dead, essentially. This is why in that last video, the Bobby Hemmett compilation, this is where Bobby Hemmett was coming from. He was talking about your life, as I mentioned in previous videos, as far as your dreams. The you that you are when you are awake is no different than the you that you are when you are dreaming. If you've ever had lucid dreams and so on and so forth. You are the soul that is not limited to the finite experience, the physical reality. The you that you is, the you that you are, is something beyond that. So when you love the essence or the mortal body experience in the materialistic plane, as the materialistic plane, you are worshiping what is dead. the waiting room for you to reconnect with your soul, the true singularity. Now, I'll go back to this image and share with you my perspective. I never really got into it. The artificial singularity that is being promoted by this system. This is what technology and quantum mechanics in the scientism community is going to attempt to sell you. It's going to attempt to sell you another illusion of who and what you are in order to separate you from the soul on a deeper level, on a deeper layer. This is inherently what the heliocentric model is, to separate you from the you that you are when you dream, the you that you are beyond the physical reality, and in fact make the illusion thicker. So they make these charts and they make all of these ideas to sell to you, to trap your consciousness, your soul, in the idea of loving this physical reality. Every single perspective, from the race agenda, from the colonial program, from the politics, from the mainstream media, everything is a box within a box within a box within a box, trapping you further and further and further away from your soul by stealing your time, stealing your consciousness, and locking you into illusions. The more we believe ourselves into the illusions, the more we will allow ourselves to be separated from the foundations of our soul and shift that polarization of who and what we are and anchor ourselves in the physical reality. Once consciousness anchors itself in the physical reality, that's when the trap door has been closed. So you can trap yourself in politics. You can trap yourself in the artificial ego. You can trap yourself in the New Age community. You can trap yourself in the NASA heliocentric model. You can create all these traps all you want. And it's you that's creating that experience in order to learn something from that experience and eventually break out of that illusion back into the perspective of your soul. This is what the true polar shift is. When they talk about polar shift, it has shit to do with obviously the globe shifting like that. No, the polar shift means your shift in consciousness from the body back to the soul. But all of these stories have to be sold to us bass backwards in order for us to believe into the reality in which the illusionists would like us to believe into. And yes, it is of the deepest and darkest, most destructive ass sideways experiences that are never going to resonate on the soul essence. That's not their design. That's not what they're meant to do. They're meant to worship this physical plane. So this is why channelers are doing that. Channelers want to, like I said, love and light the shit out of the materialistic realm so you can fall in love with it and create the artificial universe. This is why the indigenous people have been demonized and genocided for so long, because they were living as the soul. Their teachings were based upon that reality, that understanding. This is why the Western civilization will never go into understanding the pyramids. It will just tell you aliens created this. Why? Because aliens reaffirms their claims of the heliocentric universe and the extraterrestrial alien agenda and so on and so forth. So this is why the Ancient Aliens program exists, to steal, divert your understanding, divert your attention away from what was really going on and channel it into aliens and extraterrestrials. No different than, like this image shares with you, to have people hate themselves, demean themselves constantly. And as you demean yourself, and lock yourself into these lower vibrations, you're inherently being programmed to build other people up. This is at the foundation of the white supremacy program. The white Jesus, your Hollywood whitewashing the entire storyline of civilization as a whole. It's locking you into this quarter at best version perspective of reality in order to make quarter pounder kings, like the Burger King, or really just, yeah. So locking it into a frequency, a particular frequency. This is the visible light spectrum that you're looking at. And behind that is the energetic spectrum as a whole, from the lowest vibrations of the broadcast band. You can see how that is. Let's see where I want to come from. From the broadcast band to the cosmic rays, the vibration itself gets stretched out the lower you go. It gets dull, it gets empty, it becomes dead. It is that, what's the machine where it's flatline. That's what it is. It flatlines. The lower vibrations are the flatline. The higher vibrations are, as you can see, the cosmic rays that are connected and getting closer and closer and closer. In this example, you can see radio waves to gamma rays, all the way down to like the atomic particles. So the smaller you get, the closer that you get to yourself. And it's not necessarily an atomic nuclei. It's really just, this is what this chart is telling you, but it's really getting to your soul. This is why this maxes out here. This is why the scientism community maxes out at this perspective, is because the system wants to create your perspectives for you, create the boxes, the end game for you, so you can fit in these boxes and you'll never get into the soul. But to stay on course here, the higher you go in vibration, the closer these waves become, the higher the frequency is, the smaller you are. Your physical essence, your physical self is. The higher your vibration, the smaller you are. That's what I really want to share with this image. The smallest you can become is to become not the physical and become the essence of the soul. When you become that, that's the true singularity. The singularity image that I was showing you before ain't got shit to do. This has nothing to do. The true singularity has nothing to do with the physical reality, and has everything to do with your soul. You breaking the physical reality on a conscious level and reconnecting with your soul. And to do that, you have to break the entire physical reality itself. This is why the flat earth or heliocentric model is such a challenge to the system, because when people start connecting with the idea of a creator of all of this, and obviously there's something, some kind of higher, any kind of higher perspectives, then you get into that space of like the emperor has no clothes, or whatever that saying is. So this system, the scientific community and the New Age community, has to sell you these illusions to lock you into the artificial singularity. And as you are locked into the artificial singularity, you are in effect lowering your consciousness, lowering your frequency, like the evolution of capitalism and so on and so forth, they tell you that's a good thing. No, you're actually being de-evolved when you lock into the technological transhumanism, physical reality idea of singularity, that whole merging man with technology. It's all bullshit. Here's another example of the low vibrations and the high vibrations. All within the physical reality. Your soul essence is this entire spectrum, not just the visible light spectrum. It's the entire spectrum. But since this place is so beautiful and filled with all of this, it needs to be, to lock you in to the living dead experience. To continue to have people continue processing into this reality. For people who haven't seen this, this is an experiment by Dr. Masaru Emoto, where he was freezing water molecules with a piece of tape on the side of a water bottle, and it said either compassion, thank you, wisdom, or prayers. Basically, how you program the molecular structure of water, which this experience is. Your body is water. It's alive. So how is it being programmed? Look at what's being programmed with Hollywood. Look at what's being programmed with your local news and politics, the military and prison industrial complex, the destruction itself. This is what makes this place thrive. That effect is not happening with the actual pen, the programming of the physical reality. It's with the soul. That's the intention of the soul. So when we are locked into the intention of lower vibrations, we are becoming closer and closer to the flat line. So when people, conscious beings, lock themselves into the materialistic perspective, you're dead. When you worship this reality, it doesn't matter how beautiful you think it is, you're dead. Because you have no essence, no connection with the soul. This is why religion exists. The mainstream religions are out there to create a commercial version of connecting to the soul. If at all. Through something else, through another salesman, to make you buy into it. So how are you programming yourself is the question. Every day with every thought. Are you becoming closer and closer to your soul? Are you coming from the perspective of the soul? Or are we buying into the reality that's being sold to us? The dead universe, the dead consciousness. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with this video is, where are we coming from? What are we doing with it? And what is the we that we claim to be? So thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.